I don't mean to sexually abuse you, but this is my skin infection.
His family members call him a bully, and yet Andrew Ditch continued his reign of chaos, recording every moment and posting every detail for the world to witness with disgust. How did such a grown-up man grow up to become a menace to society? What is Andrew Ditch's story all about? Because somewhere along the way there is truly a sinister beginning in this wild story. Keep watching as we unravel the massive headache that is known as Andrew Ditch.
Okay, guys. Okay, hello guys, I'm Andrew from Feces here. I'm going to show you how to hook up a wireless network into an existing single connection computer internet connection.
One incident dominates Andrew's life online, and that's the case where his family suddenly got sick from their food and coffee. On November 5th, 2019, Andrew Ditch was arrested for poisoning his elderly parents with Epsom salt and laxatives, a natural mineral compound commonly used in warm baths to soothe sore muscles, reduce stress, and alleviate minor aches. Epsom salt can also be used as a laxative for constipation, and Andrew knew this, because when investigations began, the authorities discovered a text message he'd sent out on October 18th, more than a month before his arrest. In this text message, Andrew stated that at some point later, everyone at home would be needing the toilet at the same time. Then he clearly mentioned magnesium sulfate that was in his mom's Epsom salt and indicated that he had laced their food with 8 tablespoons of it. The magnesium sulfate is in the powder form. I put 8 tablespoons in there. That is triple the dose of any amount. His family had complained of nausea, severe pain, and diarrhea. Andrew's father, Tom, had told detectives that the symptoms affected him and Andrew's brother, Joe, at intervals. And it wasn't just one day. It persisted for days.
And it was like more than once, I said, and it wasn't continuously. It was like a one-time shot, and then afterwards, the next day, right after dinner, it happened again, and then happened afterwards a few days later.
Little did they know that the culprit was living right under their roof.
What was going on with Joe, and then Joe finally said, "Hey, Dad, I got the same thing going on." But it was at different times. I was all cleared out and better, except for the other day it started again, this time after I saw the Epsom salt on the kitchen table.
When the incident finally reached the authorities, Andrew was arrested, and his case made the headlines in Tonawanda, New York, where they lived.
Police in the city of Tonawanda say 34-year-old Andrew Ditch spiked his family's food and coffee with laxatives and Epsom salts. Ditch allegedly sprinkled the substances on food and put laxatives in the reservoir of the family coffee machine.
He was held on $5,000 bail and was due to return to court for a felony hearing.
Ditch was arraigned and is being held on $5,000 bail. He will return to court tomorrow for a felony hearing.
However, at the end of the day, Andrew was never sent to prison. For years, the Ditch family has tolerated Andrew's increasingly bizarre behavior. They allowed him to wear diapers despite having no medical need. They tolerated his adult tantrums.
I just not good. I hate words.
And they also put up with his violent outbursts when things didn't go his way. However, their tolerance didn't pay off at the end of the day. Andrew lived on to be a grown man who constantly craved attention and sympathy. Every single confrontation and argument he had with family, Andrew records it. Then he'd upload the footage to YouTube, with sad music overlaid, positioning himself as the perpetual victim of a world that doesn't understand his disability. He always creates compilations of conversations, cherry-picking moments that might garner sympathy while editing out his own threatening behavior and violent outbursts. His videos were uploaded on his YouTube channel. And get this, Andrew didn't have 1 or 2 accounts, he had multiple. Andrew always posted his documentaries across each account. Only 2 of them eventually survived. But the fact that they even existed in the first place lets you know just how strange Andrew as an individual was. And that's not even the weirdest part. Apart from Andrew's weird archiving behavior, he also possessed a deep fixation on another topic, fecal matter. That's right, Andrew loved poop. It was a fetish. He always defecated in unusual places. His father's truck, on the cover of the toilet seat, anywhere but the toilet. And you know the worst part? He always posted it. Andrew once shared a video of poop that he smeared on the wall of his room.
Never needed a diaper ever before. So guess what? This is what my hotel looks like. Never needed a diaper before. I'm checking out.
He had once told his father that he loved the feel of poo in his hands.
I'm not gonna lie, I always did like the feel of poo in my hand. It's a smell I have trouble with. It's a smell I have trouble with.
And he often posted videos where he went on some sort of crazy psychosis while claiming that he was pooping himself.
Relax, guys. And I think I'm pooping myself, damn it. I'm pooping myself. I'm pooping myself. I didn't even know I was recording this.
These unseemly behaviors point at one major truth. Andrew Ditch is no normal human being. His father said it to his face.
I never poo smeared before.
Don't do it.
Do you realize how embarrassing that was? That's why Andy went running from here.
And if you're thinking about doing it, call somebody and talk to
I had
them.
no idea I was going to do that. Andy got frustrated with how
Andy, I hate to tell
APS
you,
is denying me the
Andy,
diapers and medicine
This
and
shows
food.
how sick you really are, because normal people, especially your age, would not even attempt to do that.
Andrew's family were all too aware that they had a monster on their hands. And as his parents grew older and more exhausted by their son's relentless manipulation, it got so bad that his father once confessed that God created Andrew just to punish him and Janet for whatever sins they committed.
I do?
I want to make sure we twist and turn even in their graves even when we're dead. You want to make it so miserable for us and punish us for whatever God wanted us to punish for.
Dad?
How did Andrew's behavior get to the point that his own family began to view his existence as divine retribution? When did his track record of being a menace even begin? That takes us on a trip down one of the internet's darkest rabbit holes.
I was previously diagnosed at age 3-4 years old in pre-K with
Before Andrew Ditch became the man-baby terrorizing his family in the 2020s, he was already showing signs of violence and dysfunction as a young child. He was born on June 7th, 1985, but records indicate that Andrew had been different from the average kid since 1989, when he was just 4 years old. Andrew was born to Thomas and Janet Ditch. He has a younger brother named Joseph and 2 older half-siblings, Michael and Danielle from Tom's first marriage. Andrew had perfect mental and psychological conditioning until his older brother physically and sexually abused him for more than a year. There are also claims that Michael also threatened to burn the house and kill the family if Andrew dared to report him to their parents. In one of his later accounts, Andrew would explain that the he experienced were from Michael's friend and not Michael himself.
and the time that he was out of the home, Mike wasn't there to protect me when his friend pulled down my pants and diaper and stuck a stick in my butt.
However, since he was a child younger than 5 years old with zero understanding of the meted out of him, the general consensus at the time was that Michael had been responsible. As a result of his distorted childhood background, Andrew experienced delayed speech development. According to psychological reports from Western New York Children's Psychiatric Center, Andrew never displayed any feeding or sleeping difficulties as an infant or toddler. Only that delayed speech was a problem, and his therapy soon began after his older brother was placed out of the home away from him. Andrew was regarded as a handicapped preschooler and was enrolled in the language development program for preschoolers. However, this separation from toxic brother did little to fix the already broken Andrew. Reports still revealed that the young boy was violent and aggressive and would often threaten others in his class. From this report, you can easily guess that things at school were pretty rough. Andrew didn't fare well with kids his own age, but things at home were no better either. In a recorded phone call between Andrew and his neighbor, Sue Johnson, we learned that Andrew's parents often locked him out of their house at the age of 5.
You're in your 30s. You had problems when you were 5.
Yes, I know, Sue.
They used to lock you out of the house, Andy. I threatened to call the cops.
Yes, I know, Sue.
It's either his parents believed he was a handful to deal with, or they were just neglectful in raising him. Andrew's psychological condition kept spiraling from bad to worse as time passed. By February 1990, he was diagnosed as having an adjustment development and expressive language disorder, both of which are effects of his speech impediment. When he did start talking, he would often refer to himself in the third person, calling himself Andy. However, his use of this manner of speech was inconsistent. One minute he'd call himself Andy, and the next he'd switch to first person, saying I and me. Here's an illustration from 2020.
Andy was told, the other day, Officer Harmon, and I don't know the other officer's name, told my mom and dad, after they called the police because North Tonawanda picked me up the other day because Andy almost got hit by a car, and there was a 911 call by me and that lady.
This switch between speech patterns is an inconsistency he maintained right into adulthood, and it would be one of the many premises on which people believed he was faking his disabilities. Later that year, he was determined to have scored 89 on his IQ test. 89 isn't a bad score. It's within average and would not amount to low levels of reasoning in humans. Due to his rather violent nature, Andrew was always transferred from one home and school to the next. In November 1992, he was admitted to the Western New York Children's Psychiatric Center for putting his fist through a window. He remained confined for 4 months until March 1993 when he was discharged. However, Andrew was readmitted to the Western New York Children's Psychiatric Center twice that same year. The first time was in June, roughly 3 months after his first admission. Andrew assaulted his brother, Joe, and demonstrated several aggressive behaviors to his teacher and himself. According to the psychiatric evaluation, Andrew kicked his teacher, punched his brother, slept poorly. This incident led to his second admission into the Western New York Center. As for the third time, which happened 4 months after the second one in October 1993, Andrew was admitted for threatening to kill his own mother during a series of dissociative episodes. He claimed to have seen his half-brother firing a gun with his pants pulled down. This report was the first where his delusional thinking pattern was mentioned with certainty, with doctors reporting that Andrew was delusional about his perpetrator, presumably his brother Michael stalking him. The doctor seemed particularly concerned that the parents were enabling these delusions. Over the next few months, Andrew underwent multiple courses of therapy and interviews, resulting in a final diagnosis of 3 other behavioral conditions, along with expressive language disorder, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which is triggered by extremely stressful and terrifying events, oppositional defiant disorder, OD, which is characterized as hostility to authority figures, and psychosocial stressors, which basically entails emotional distress caused by environmental factors. Bear in mind that this boy was 8 years old at the time, and he was already accumulating a long history of and aggressive outbursts towards everyone in his environment. His parents tried to get him to lead a normal life as a child. They enrolled him in residential programs and even got him to play challenger baseball for the Yankees, but nothing worked. The minute he got back into society, Andrew became more aggressive. He beat one of his teachers at age 12.
I had trouble communicating at that age, and I punched my teacher, got restrained, and I kicked a teacher.
In Andrew's story, this incident had been a direct response to a fondling event that happened in the school bathroom after the teacher's aide had changed his diapers. Instead of reporting the case, he resorted to violence against his teacher. Andrew was far from the average kid at 12. He was wearing diapers at this point in his life.
Do you realize that I've been in diapers full time, mostly, since age 12?
And he also had a poo and pee problem.
What kid wants to sit naked in front of everyone else? Because of my pee and poo problem. Had many comments in school because of it.
From this moment to his late adolescent years, Andrew's life was riddled with continuous trips to medical centers and mental hospitals. But regardless of his troubled beginnings, he strove to lead a normal life. When he turned 20 in 2005, Andrew moved to his own apartment and got a job at McDonald's. He was employed and functional enough to hold down a job that required public interaction and performance. However, this normalcy was short-lived when a hit-and-run incident occurred.
I got hit by a car on the way to McDonald's, which is why I stopped working.
Andrew had been riding his bike when the incident happened, and he remained in the middle of the road where he was later rushed to the hospital.
And he's laying in the middle of the street. He got hit by a vehicle, hit and run, and he's laying there, you know, his whole face is all mashed up and everything. And we had to call the police and the ambulance, get him to the hospital, whole 9 yards.
His parents had been told that he suffered a concussion and some bruises. However, as time passed, they began to wonder if Andrew also suffered a severe brain damage.
And they said, well, other than the bruises, bleeding, and probably a concussion, he should be okay. And ever since, we've always questioned whether or not he had.
His father, Tom, clarified that Andrew used to drive, carry out electronic repairs at home, and even had a love for weather and meteorology.
I mean, he had his own, get this, and he used to drive. And he used to drive, and he used to have his own computer business in our house. And he was high rated with the Better Business Bureau.
But there was a shift. Everything changed in the years that followed this accident when he was in his 30s. Instead of indulging in these old habits and passion, Andrew would claim that he wasn't interested.
And all that stuff, and all the stuff he was interested in, and he loved his neighbors. Lost interest. Can't do it. Can't function. No more.
After the accident, Andrew still continued to practice his usual hobbies. For instance, in 2010, he began his computer repair business named A Best PCs and shared the link on his Facebook page. Then he created a YouTube channel for the business 2 years later. In 2013, the very next year, Andrew uploaded a short video asking his audience to subscribe to his channel.
Hello guys, I'm Andrew from A Best PCs. Thank you for watching my videos. Take time and subscribe to my YouTube channel and my Tech Times newsletter.
Andrew really pushed his interests as far as he could. He created Andy's Weather Site, a blog dedicated to his weather forecasts. He got business shirts, created an account on X for A Best PCs, and even opened a second YouTube channel for it. Videos from this era show Andrew speaking normally, articulating complex technical concepts, presenting himself as a professional. But with each developmental step forward came gradual regression backward. You see, while he was growing his business, Andrew's mental health continued to decline. He would start fights for the silliest reasons. It could be that his food was burnt or cold, or that his parents didn't buy him food. One time in 2011, he had been taken to the Erie County Medical Center, ECMC, in New York, for engaging in a physical fight with his brother Joseph. Fighting with his father over a vacuum, the mental issues went even deep into his love for diapers. Andrew was a member of the ABDL community, which is short for Adult Baby Diaper Lovers, a group of adults notorious for their use of adult or baby diapers. Andrew had created an account in the ABDL support community under the username ABestPCs. And as if that wasn't disturbing enough, he also started pretending to have autism. You see, after his accident, his parents had reason to believe that he developed a liking for ASD, which is short for Autism Spectrum Disorder. He even started talking and acting like a baby for effect. This is what Andrew sounded like at 32.
And when I was younger, I actually hit a, what do they call that? Fire hydrant. And I could not pronounce the word fire hydrant.
And this is what he sounds like when he switches to baby talk.
Dad, I want to be left alone. You're bullying me. Please, I want you to stop.
This switch proves one thing. Andrew deliberately altered his speech pattern as a grown adult just to fake a disability. For some reason, Andrew wanted to be autistic. He was so fascinated by it that he once joined an autism group and befriended an autistic person named Tracy to know how to act autistic.
And this one lady, Tracy, that she don't even live in the state. Andy got it online, and I said, "How did you find out about her? Because she don't even live around here." It's an autism group, and I think he went to get in that group to act like them, so he could find out how to act like other people that have autism.
He also raised suggestions to his psychiatrists that he might be autistic. However, evaluations have stated not once but twice that Andrew was not autistic. The first report came in August 2017, and the second in November 2018. Yet despite the expert diagnosis, Andrew wasn't convinced. He still claimed to be autistic, going as far as making a video and sharing that his doctor had given him the diagnosis.
Hey guys, I'm Andy here, and a couple things that you may not know about me so much. One is I was recently diagnosed with autism by a doctor that I
He even claimed that his autism makes him sensitive to loud noises and would require his family to remain quiet at all times.
Then get out! Stop! Then move! Get out of my room!
No, I'm not going low. I'm not going into you.
It's likely that Andrew had Munchausen syndrome, a psychological disorder where individuals fake illnesses or deliberately produce symptoms to gain attention and sympathy. And Andrew, for the most part of his adult years, thrived on gaining sympathy. He always had a way of framing narratives to look as if people were antagonizing him, a disabled person. One time he called the cops and claimed that Tom had ignored him when he asked for his help. Andrew told dispatch that Tom was being neglectful and should be arrested.
Then why don't you call the police? Hey, no. I'm gonna call the police, but you're saying I'm abusing you. So we're calling the police. And I want you to press charges on me. Maybe someday you'll become legal.
This is the frustrating life Andrew has mapped out for himself and those around him. From tech entrepreneur to diaper-dependent man-child, Andrew Ditch's transformation represents one of the most extreme cases of voluntary regression in recent memory. And unlike genuine cases of disability requiring family support, Andrew's condition comes with violence, manipulation, mischief, and danger. The anger and mischief manifested in his entire childhood and culminated in the poisoning incident. But those weren't the only areas he showed his true colors. Beyond his family, school, and everyday life, Andrew developed a painfully troubling habit of harassing and drawing the attention of outsiders, particularly law enforcement.
I have a legal right. You guys have to enforce it. He's my government-appointed payee.
Okay.
As a guardian of my money, I have a legal right to have my money.
All right, Andy, we're going to get out of here, okay?
You see, Andrew has a peculiar relationship with law enforcement. The Tonawanda Police Department knew him intimately. This is because he frequently called them for the silliest reasons, not genuine emergencies, but little family disputes. Like this particular time his busy father refused to help him during breakfast. Andrew called the police as if they were social services to report the case.
I know. Invite myself into trouble, so I told him. Told him what time it was, and I left.
And in another instance, he called 911 because his father had cautioned him for eating 4 cinnamon rolls.
I had only a few cinnamon rolls, and I got yelled at. My dad yells at me every time I go eat.
Was there not enough for everyone else?
It was from this morning. I didn't know it was even in there.
Okay.
Did you eat them?
In one of their exchanges, Andrew got violent and demanded that the police take his father out of the house.
You're free to leave.
How? He controls my money. You're going to allow me to stay here like everybody else, you pig. Get out of here.
Another time, he made a prank call to the police and claimed that he had killed 10 people.
Tom Holland, sorry, this is Mr. Nolan.
Hi, your name please again?
This is Mr. Nolan?
Hi, I'm admitting guilt to something I never did. Just so they can get permanent group home in jail. I killed 10 people, you know as well.
He did this twice in April of 2020, and as usual, it led the officers right to his doorstep. Andrew recorded a video of the encounter. In that video, he quickly denied ever making the call to dispatch.
Is there a reason for you here?
Yeah, because you called our dispatch.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. All right.
I didn't call anyone dispatch.
You called our dispatch. You called State Police Batavia and said that you killed 10 people.
Mere minutes after denying what he had done, Andrew went on to ask if the cops wanted to arrest him for it. Then as quickly as he said that, he drifted to legal talk, stating that the cops will hear from his attorney.
Want to arrest me for it?
What's that?
Want to arrest me for it?
Why would I want to arrest you? Why did you call and say that?
I will have my attorney contact you.
No, you're going to...
His actions always had repercussions. For instance, the prank call where Andrew claimed he had killed 10 people led to legal consequences in August 2020.
It just says here about falsely reporting an incident. So you called the police station to report something that didn't happen.
What incident?
You reported to the Tonawanda Police that you had killed 10 people in the city of Buffalo.
Andrew never really faced legal punishment for this behavior, and he didn't take the charges assigned to stop involving the police in his daily life. Times when he didn't dial 911, it was his father, Tom, who did. Like this particular moment in 2020, when Tom called the police on Andrew for endangering his and Janet's lives. You see, Andrew's mother was old and sickly, and she required oxygen to breathe. However, 35-year-old Andrew turned on an oil diffuser in the house because he claimed that it helped him relax. Tom told him to remove it because it was affecting his wife and Andrew's mother. And what did Andrew do? He refused. He just laid on his back and watched as his elderly parents complained tirelessly. They were handicapped and couldn't argue or get physical with Andrew, so all they could do was beg him to remove the oil diffuser. Still, Andrew showed no remorse. As a result, Tom had to call the police to intervene.
Jan called the police because when she came downstairs to try to eat, it was so strong that she got that heart problem and breathing problem. I had to put the oxygen on. We asked her to turn it off. He refuses to do that.
When officers arrived at the scene, Andrew didn't budge. Instead, he continued to film the entire exchange, with his legs crossed in a casual manner.
And I would have turned it off.
Your mother is on oxygen and has been hospitalized several times due to breathing problems.
Yeah.
And she calls to complain because this aggravates her breathing problem.
He even began to speak about legal actions, asking one of the officers if he would be arrested for recording the incident with his phone.
We want to know if we can press charges because this is our home and it's bothering our breathing.
You didn't ask me to turn it off.
Could you stop shining that light in my face?
I can. Is that order or is that a violation? You gonna arrest me for having my light on camera?
When asked to shut down the diffuser, Andrew retorted by saying that he would do that if the cops gave him a court order. And even worse, he started speaking about violation of privacy.
I need to turn it off. I was on the phone with Great Services.
You know what? I'm asking you to shut it off.
Get a court order, then I'll do it.
No, I'm not getting a court order. I'm asking you to shut it off, or I'll shut it off.
Shut it off.
Okay.
And if you touch it, you violate my privacy.
What autistic person was two-faced like that? One minute they're talking like a baby, and the next they're speaking about the law? This is a habit he often got into while dallying with the cops. Andrew, who'd pretend to be autistic, would start talking about legal matters. He'd drop his baby behavior and start speaking like a man who knew his rights and understood the system. This behavior was contradictory, and it hinted that Andrew was acting out for clout. But the thing with Andrew is that he's a grown man in his 40s who is becoming a big menace to society. This wasn't a kid throwing tantrums or a teenager going through youthful exuberance. Andrew Ditch was a man with multiple problems, and he always allowed the authorities to revolve around the center of his universe. He'd video record his encounters with the cops. It didn't even have to be related to family matters. Andrew could call the cops anywhere. He'd even called them when he was at the hospital. In the footage he recorded, Andrew was lying on the floor and chanting that he was scared because the hospital was abusing him.
I'm scared.
Look at me.
I'm scared. I don't know what's going on. I'm scared.
Can I walk you out here?
No, I'm too scared.
Yeah, we can change the cab to any address.
I'm scared.
As long as you know the address.
I'm scared.
For him, 911 was social service, not a state authority. Andrew had become so engrossed with law enforcement that he became familiar with one of the cops, an officer named Bentley. Officer Bentley was Andrew's most frequent responder, and his familiarity with Andrew's patterns has led him to be threatened multiple times. For instance, in the oil diffuser incident, Andrew called Officer Bentley a cyberbully just because Officer Bentley reprimanded his attitude towards his parents.
The police are pitted against you, when in actuality, that's not the case.
Well, I
You know, I mean, your parents are becoming the victim. Your parents are becoming the victim. You know, your dad is severely physically handicapped, and he does more than you. That, you know, your mom is handicapped. She has, you know, trouble breathing. She's on oxygen, and you're uploading videos of your mom falling on the ground, and you're...
The diffuser situation ended with a court summons. Andrew didn't learn his lesson as he continued to be a source of pain and torment to his poor family. And as usual, the cycle of police intervention continued. More often than not, Andrew's the one calling them. He uses emergency services as his personal meditation hotline, trying desperately to get police to take his side against the family. His ultimate goal was to get his elderly parents out of their own home so he could have it all to himself. When officers inevitably refused to grant him his request of getting the parents out of the house, Andrew's demeanor would shift. The baby talk would disappear, and the vulnerable disabled persona he constantly fakes will evaporate. Andrew would become angry, defensive, and threatening.
You f***ing pig, get out of here! Talk to my lawyer piece of talk to my lawyer piece of I want out of...
This was the usual aggressive pattern with him. At the end of the day, his police calls were never a cry for help. They were performances and episodes of a series he shared on his social media platforms. And here's when the drama takes a more sickening turn. As Andrew's fake autism persona solidified, so did his disturbing behavior begin to escalate. What started as an annoying demand to be treated like a baby before metastasizing into something genuinely dangerous. Danger that always needed police intervention. That's right. Andrew in his 30s would endanger the life and health of everyone around him, especially his elderly parents. His persistent pestering and baby talk has pushed his father to hit himself out of frustration.
You are! You said it! I'm on recording with you.
Oh, fuck the goddamn.
See the recording?
You know what, Andy? If you keep it up, you know what I'm gonna do? Give me a fucking camera shut, or I'll break the fucking
Stop hurting my ears, please.
Andrew is particularly cruel to his ailing mother. He once claimed that she's his rock, the person he loves most. But when the elderly woman fell one time, Andrew didn't help her. Instead, he recorded her on the floor and summoned his elderly father to lift her, all while maintaining his baby persona, refusing to use his own able body to assist.
She just fell off the chair, Dad. She wasn't even bending over. Yeah, you were sitting on the chair.
Just doing what I'm doing for chores.
Mom.
He wished his mother would leave the house despite her medical needs, yet at the same time, he didn't want to live with his dad anymore. He always made his point known, especially to the police.
Except I don't want to be in Dad's house anymore. I want to go to Harbor House. I don't want to be here. It's my right.
Andrew is a problem case everywhere he went, and the troubling part is that his manipulation usually extended far beyond his family. He's been kicked out of every group, home, and program designed to help people with genuine disabilities. Whenever his family placed Andrew in a facility or home designed to accommodate people with his supposed needs, they would get responses saying he was too much of a handful.
You with me. I want you to please leave.
Step to the back of the elevator.
I want you to please leave. Leave. Thank you. Leave me alone. I don't want you to follow me. I am free to go. Leave.
Andrew.
Leave. I don't want to be followed. I want to leave.
The pattern was always the same. Andrew would throw tantrums at the staff, demand special treatment, threaten and harass them until they could no longer safely house him. One time even spat at a health worker and still had the audacity to feel as though a grave injustice had been done to him.
Have his name, please? I'd like to know your name. My patient rights. Can I please leave?
Sir, no. The doctor
Why?
said no. The doctor said no.
I want to leave.
Hey, man, come on.
I want to leave. Can I please leave? And something, you can't have criteria to hold me on a mental health hold. There's no self-harm or harm to others. I want to leave.
Sometimes Andrew would take things to the extreme and stalk people. It happened with a nurse. While in a hospital or care facility, Andrew became fixated on a nurse. The exact nature of their interaction is unclear. Perhaps she enforced a rule he didn't like or refused a demand, or simply tried to do her job professionally. Whatever the trigger, Andrew decided she had wronged him. So Andrew followed her. Not just in the facility, he followed her home. He tracked this healthcare worker to her private residence, crossing every boundary of appropriate behavior, violating her privacy and safety. The nurse's family made a complaint to Andrew's parents, and the poor couple were left to deal with yet another of their son's disturbing developments.
And we got a phone call from the owner of that house, who was terrified of him.
And she works at the ER at Kenmore Mercy.
And she works at Kenmore Mercy as a nurse practitioner.
The nurse stalking is one of the many reasons Andrew's been expelled from care facilities. Due to his recurring harmful behavior, his family got fed up. They've tried medication, but Andrew always throws them away.
So everybody knows what medications were thrown out. So no one believes my medications. Going right there to that dumpster. I don't care anymore. I don't want my medicine.
Andrew's habit of throwing away his medication points to one thing. He knows there's nothing actually wrong with him. He knows medication won't help because there's nothing to medicate. His autism is fake, and the helplessness is performance. By 2023, Andrew's behavior grew erratic. He started acting like someone who would need the same medication he was disposing of. During this period, Andrew's head-banging tantrums became more intense and frequent.
I don't want
I asked you to help me! And you're not helping me! I'm tired of it, Dad! You keep promising me!
He also ran away from home often.
I don't want to key it. I'm not coming back. You can hear I'm not able to communicate here. I'm having trouble even from my thoughts. Grab my comfort toy and run away.
He did this 5 times that year, and each time they were for disagreements between him and his brother or parents. At the end of the day, Andrew's act of running away from home forced his elderly parents and brother to go out to look for him. It could be during the night or day. The cops warned Andrew to stop doing this. However, Andrew, as we've seen so far, stubbornly refused.
Hi guys, I did it. I went running away because police told me I could, and I'm not allowed to run away. They won't let me run away because I have a disability.
Alongside his manic escapes from home, Andrew's fixation on feces also intensified. He once shared a video where he announced that he'd eat poop if he gained 1,000 subscribers and 10 million likes.
Hey YouTube, if you want to see me eat poop, I will do that for you on YouTube. But I need 10 million likes to this video and 1,000 subscribers by end of this month.
And as if that wasn't disgusting enough, Andrew also shared a video on his channel where he claimed to have put poop in the McDonald's he once worked at.
Because if you ate at the same McDonald's as I worked at, you would have known that you would probably been eating poop. Or smelling poop.
Can you imagine what this admission could mean? Andrew wasn't an upstanding citizen with the right qualifications to bag a white-collar job. The most he had going for himself were part-time jobs at small eateries. Jobs he worked while wearing diapers. With the way he proudly smeared poop on his walls and broadcast it, it's hard to believe he didn't mess around with poop at his workplace.
You ate there when I pooped my diaper? And I was working, making your food? Ew!
As of Andrew's last public updates in 2024, he remained unemployed and essentially homeless because his family home had fractured. Andrew was placed in a group home. His mother, Jan, was permanently living in a nursing home. She eventually passed away in April 2025. Members of the Kiwi Farms Forum weren't rejoiced by this news. Well, the elderly woman had not gotten a day of rest since she had Andrew Ditch as a son, so sentiments for her passing away were deeply understandable. Andrew shared his sympathies online, claiming that he was sad, mad, confused, lost, scared, and hurt. With his mom gone, you'd think there would be a semblance of change in Andrew Ditch's behavior. However, things are not as relatively normal as they were years ago. The Ditch family that had endured decades of Andrew's behavior had finally been scattered. Tom remained in the family home. Joe, Andrew's younger brother, had been silent on his own end, although he made all videos of Andrew private in fulfillment of his mother's dying wish. Andrew himself continued to bounce between temporary placements, unable to maintain stability anywhere he went. During preparations for his mother's funeral, Andrew reunited with his family temporarily. After the funeral, Andrew returned to Erie, Pennsylvania, where he continued his tumultuous relationship with Royal Home Healthcare Services. While there, he developed an obsession for his caregiver named Nicole. Andrew mentioned her name a few times on his YouTube and Facebook page. He trusted her so much that he wanted her to accompany him to his dad's house after his mother's death. Nicole meant a lot to him. She taped his diapers when other caregivers refused to do so, and he entrusted her with plans for his future. But sadly, he never got to enjoy time with her as she was promptly fired from the facility. Andrew didn't take this lightly. He quickly posted a video on YouTube using a voice modifier to express his annoyance with the people he believed had been responsible for her removal.
Random strangers who stalk me and lie about me got my caregiver Nicole fired. Not only did these people hurt me, they hurt professionally.
At the end of the day, Andrew had to suck it up and move on. But that wasn't the only thing he did. By early July, Andrew ran away from Royal. Speculations about whether he ran away or was kicked out circulated for a time being, but the only thing that was clear was that he wasn't under official care. And this is where Andrew began to show his usual unhinged self on social media. First of all, he posted a video of himself crossing the street carelessly.
I have trouble crossing the street, but I just put my phone on camera. Please. Oh, I didn't see that car moving there. But, oh my God. I'm scared.
It's unclear why a grown man would focus his attention on filming when crossing the street, but this was exactly what Andrew did. While claiming that he was scared to cross unsupervised, he managed to pull it off effortlessly. He looked both ways before crossing, and his camera didn't flinch a bit.
Uh-oh. I'm scared. I'm not getting help on the cross street.
The video is posted on one of his YouTube channels before he deleted the account. While it might have been one of his usual antics that you could easily overlook, the very notion of him crossing the road reinforced the idea that Andrew was faking his disabilities. He's proved this fact multiple times in the past. There's the case of him changing his tone with law enforcement, and now we've seen just how reasonable he is when crossing the road while filming. These incidents prove that Andrew isn't suffering from the mental issues he claimed he had. He's most definitely a menace, but he's also an adult with the ability to function properly and pull a performance for autism. Andrew could be suffering from Munchausen syndrome, or another mental illness known as schizoaffective disorder, which is a condition that combines schizophrenia symptoms, such as hallucinations and delusions, with mood disorder symptoms, such as depression, mania. His performance isn't deceptive, but at the same time, it's difficult and near impossible for a sane individual to act out in such a manner all their life. Andrew might be a pretentious grown man, but he's still someone riddled with a form of mental illness, considering his long history of wreaking havoc in the community. His reign of terror didn't end with the road crossing video, unfortunately. Following his separation from Royal Home Healthcare, Andrew's whereabouts remain undisclosed, yet his online presence grew considerably. He entered a review bombardment phase, starting with Royal Home. Andrew left low Google reviews under the alias Tina, a lady who allegedly found a letter in her mailbox from an unnamed autistic man. He later posted an updated review for the institution, showing that he was actually doing so much better now in the care of a new organization who respected his needs. He even compared the treatment to his previous relationship with Nicole. I am doing things and going places in the community like my caregiver who got fired for no reason by Royal, other than for Royal to take revenge out on me. All that is in the past. Now I have caregivers who are just like what Nicole was with me. Despite the mildly positive sentiments he shared, Andrew still gave Royal Home Healthcare Services a 1 star. This was definitely an attempt to sabotage the institution's review score, a behavior that was typical for his destructive nature. Andrew continued down the path of his undisclosed house, writing reviews without photos attached and sometimes under an alias. For the better part of the year, he spent his time doing this on various websites. He left Google reviews for fast food stores, home centers, gas stations, just random places he had no business with as of the time of leaving the reviews. This was the most activity that came from him. By September, Andrew began bragging about getting an apartment in Tonawanda that won't be under his name for safety reasons. His brother Joe would later refute this in early October, claiming to have no knowledge of the accommodation plan. Andrew's digital footprint was all that dominated his activities in 2025. He once shared a dream of wanting to go to Canada where he could be put in eternal sleep because his disability was not supported by everyone in his environment. I want to go to Canada where they can put me to sleep forever because my disability is not being supported and not able to function without my environment to support me. This type of unwarranted post often filled his social media accounts. However, it quickly turned into an online battle towards the end of November when the internet got fed up with his antics and began calling him a fake person. A user on Facebook wrote, "He isn't autistic. He pretends to be autistic, but he's never been diagnosed. He's tried to be diagnosed, but no doctor has ever agreed with that diagnosis." And another added, "He was always trying to call adult services on his family and everything." Unlike the previous years when he made prank calls and ran away from home, Andrew now faced a new kind of problem with these messages. It's clear that everyone was familiar with his habits and were fed up. They didn't want to give him a platform or turn a blind eye anymore. So the messages continued to flood in until they pushed Andrew to the edge. For the remainder of the year, he dedicated his time to his YouTube channel and Facebook, claiming that everything the internet knew about him was a lie. His timeline was filled with long write-ups about the pieces of information people had gathered about him. From the poisoning case to his faking of autism, Andrew made long posts defending himself. He stated that his caseworker had not lied about his diagnosis, and he didn't poison his family or have a diaper fetish. In this same poisoning case, he wrote a very incomprehensible statement about how he made up the story when he'd thought of changing his diapers. I made a story of imagination to think about my family need diapers after they pick on my medical needs because I can't help. I've always had accidents and needed help changing my diaper. We know this isn't true because the poisoning case made headlines and even led to his arrest. Yet Andrew was so delusional in his defense and was making up incoherent cover stories. Then, in his moment of self-pity, he claimed that all his attackers just wanted attention and were making fun of him, as well as autistic people for laughs. You are doing this because you think it is funny when you see others do the same to many people with autism as how gullible we are. Andrew continued to explain himself, and this action extended to 2026. He'd post about the symptoms of certain mental illnesses on his YouTube channel in order to prove that he has them. One time he made a video with multiple explanations of a condition called sensory processing disability. Andrew believed that he had this illness, and for this reason, cooking wasn't a safe choice for him.
What happens when you aren't able to sense hot temperature safely and have a hard time judging?
Again, I'm using one hand, and see, I'm unsteady. And then having to walk over here, that's disaster.
But self-diagnosis is something he's been doing wrongly for the longest time. This new case he was imposing on himself is a neurological condition where the brain struggles to receive, interpret, and respond to sensory information. Sensory processing disorder affects people with autism or ADHD, both of which Andrew still claims to have. It's a new year, yet Andrew has still not learned his lesson or proven to be interested in his own healing process. He's not realized that people with disabilities don't mention it all the time like it's a trophy.
I have a disability that affects my ability to understand what people say, and then planning and organizing my response back to them.
Gotcha.
And that causes me a lot of frustration and behavior issues.
Until when will he let go of this energy he uses to push his fake agenda? It's unlikely that Andrew would ever be a productive member of society. His years of being that stable guy who spoke at lengths about gadgets is completely over.
Okay, guys. Okay, hello guys, I'm Andrew from PCs here. I'm going to show you how to hook up a wireless network into an existing single connection computer internet.
He will always remain the man who faked a disability to justify his behavior, a man who documented his own dissent and the suffering of those around him, all for attention.
Police are on their way?
He's hurting my ears! I can't believe.
For now, Andrew Ditch remains a menace at large. Not in the criminal sense, but in the sense that no institution, family member, or authority has been able to contain the chaos he creates.
I want to get my sneakers, Dad, so I can go run away. Please, I want to get my sneakers since you called me a fake! And you